Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work.
Let the conversation begin. This is Let's Talk with your host, Carl Lee.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee, and this is Let's Talk. And interesting show today. We've got a guest that one is my boss, so I have to kind of be really nice to him. And on the other side, he's a state champion in AA basketball. So we'll get some information, and I'll do a proper introduction for him. I'll start out with my guest, my co-host, Hollis Lewis. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
You don't look like you're coming from work, unless it's a dress day.
Yeah, it's Casual Friday.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay,
yeah.
Or is it your Casual Friday?
It's my Casual Friday.
Okay. I guess when you move up the chain a little bit, you can kind of pick and choose your dress code. Okay. All right. So Hunter Moles, a South Charleston guy for sure. Hunter played both soccer and basketball.
Sir.
In high school. And
at SC?
At SC.
Okay.
And also, you did the same thing in college.
Yep.
I don't know if I know two-sport guys in college.
It's not too many left.
There's not too many of those. So I thought that was a rare thing when I was going through your bio. Graduated from West Virginia Tech. And then you went on and got your master's from UC.
Yep.
Right out of graduation, you go right into coaching.
Yes, sir.
Assistant coach?
Yep.
In basketball.
Yep.
Correct? Okay.
At South Charleston.
At South Charleston.
Under head coach Vic Herbert.
Man, and that's young.
Yeah, very young.
I mean, that's really young.
I think I was 21 when I started.
Okay. And then you went on to Charleston Catholic. And I've already said that, and you just won a state championship.
Yes, sir.
So I'm interested in, people talk all the time about the challenges that come with coaching and creating culture and all of these kind of things. And you're a young guy, a lot younger than I am. And so when you start talking about coaching philosophy, where does yours come from? Because clearly it's being successful. Mm-hmm. And where do you come from? Where does that come from? Is it just you? Is there a coach that you have looked up to, played for, or what? Tell us a little bit about you and this desire in coaching.
Yeah, I've kind of always enjoyed it, always enjoyed the game inside the game, but I guess it could really start from mom and dad, to be honest with you. That's the best coaches I've ever had.
Okay.
My mom I'm super close with my mom. My dad, he was kind of my first coach. He played baseball at West Virginia State, so He was a baseball guy. I grew up playing some baseball, but it got to the point we had to pick, and I kind of was a little bit better with soccer and basketball, and so it starts with mom and dad, and just, I look back at the way that they taught me to do things, and something that always stuck was my dad. He said, well, you're not playing as much as you want. You need to work harder and practice. And hearing stories about my dad, he was a hard worker like that. Both of us are not super skilled in the game of basketball. You wouldn't, not super athletic, but we had to outwork people. So that kind of comes into the coaching part, I think, where I had a lot of just coaches growing up. Coach Bob Williams at Tech was my basketball coach. I went to Tech to play for Luis Cortel, who, if you went to a meeting and you didn't bring a pen, it was a sprint for the team. Everybody had to bring a pen to the meeting. Didn't matter if you was going to use it, but you had to bring a pen. The success and the details was there, like super, super detailed. Meeting started at 7. You walk in at 7, you're late. Little things like that.
That sounds familiar.
Little things like that where, in college it really took it to the next level. But even in high school, Vic Herbert and Sean Napper used to call me Coach Moles. They used to call me that my senior year. I just understand it offense as well. My assistant coaches at Catholic have been Rashad Kincaid and Devin Harris. That's two of my best friends in my life. And that makes it a lot of fun too. But we always talked about it when we were younger, how much fun we thought it would be to coach our own team. We're a big fan of X's and O's, and as we started getting older and older, we realized X's and O's is maybe 10% of this thing. Really, is coaching personalities, and that's really the big part of coaching. Giving back. We've just had so many good coaches growing up. A lot of them were, maybe Rashad and Devin's dad. It could have been my dad. It could have been someone else's. We're playing AAU, and someone else's dad's. We just had so many, and it'd be hard to just sit there and name everybody. But just having those guys by my side, understanding what we want to accomplish was huge. And I think coaches in general might get too much credit when they win, and maybe too much blame when they lose, because really you have to give credit. I keep thinking more and more about this since we've won. Like, my first year as a head coach, I was 23 years old. Those players didn't have to buy in. They didn't have to say, we actually do want to do these type of things. We do want to echo the calls. Like, if we're calling out a drill, hey, 3-man weave, everybody else out 3-man weave. We don't walk on the basketball court. No talking during free throws and shirt tucked in. So like, if guys come in and they're fighting the rules or fighting that makes it harder too. We don't have to deal with that, and we can actually coach you in X's and O's. So if you can buy into the little details, and I'm just being honest, some guys can't do it. They can't get over somebody telling them to do this, do X, Y, and Z. And if you just buy into that, you could be a lot better team.
So let me
hold on. I have to say this.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm over here like shaking, okay? Because like, for the parent that just heard, this is a young man who is coaching, and the things that he's talking about, being on time, the focus that you have to have. That's old school, and yeah. I don't even know if we should even call it old school. It should be just the principle,
fundamentals.
Just the fundamentals of how it is. Again, being on time. Some of that sometimes is the responsibility of that parent to get that child there. But if you're late and you're in school and you're going to practice, something's totally wrong. It was just crazy because I was building up over here like thinking, okay, I got to say something, but I don't want to interrupt them because we've talked about those kinds of structures in practice, those kind of structures in sports since we've been on air. And I still don't think people get it.
They don't. Until they go and see it, maybe. I don't know if they really – they see that we won a championship. They don't understand how we've gotten there.
Big point.
But let me ask you this, just to not necessarily combat that, but just from the other side, do you think instilling those principles are easier at Catholic because there's already sort of a built-in standard? You have to dress this way. You have to do these certain things in order to be a part of this academic program.
That's a great point, and I think Charleston Catholic is a great school for that because it is. I'll be honest with you, I was really excited to coach there because academics is first, and that's – I don't have to preach that as much right now, but that is my main goal because this is high school sports to me, so academics come first. I think yes and no. I mean, obviously these guys are used to some structure and maybe they like structure, but I don't see why we can't do that at, a different school and whatnot. I think when you step on the basketball court, who you are as a basketball player is going to show how you do things, how detailed you are. I mean, there's the best basketball players that I know and I've seen and I've coached against in high school are just as detailed. When they shake my hand, they look me straight in the eye. They say they call me coach. They give me the respect level. They do the little things. So to answer your question, yes and no. I've definitely seen I had my 2 years at South Charleston. had 5 years at Charleston Catholic. There's positives to both and there's negatives to both. As coming from a coach, like how you respond to your players, what you get out of them, but their everyday lives could be different, right? But a little bit of, there's a little bit of every coaching, personalities everywhere.
Got you. So let me ask you this: as far as you won the AA title this year, and we'll talk about some of your players later in the show. But you were runner-ups last year, so you lost in a title game. Who did you?
We lost to Chapmanville.
Which they were actually a really good team. So what did you learn from that loss moving forward to this season to help you win the championship this year?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because I think the last year's loss really, really helped us as a group. We had 5 starters come back. So from a player and a basketball standpoint, all of those guys got bigger, faster, stronger naturally. They got older, and they've all been there. They've all played in the big game now. They understand that the state tournament, that week of distraction is what we call it. They get a little more comfortable. I think that year that we lost, we were a little too satisfied to be back in the championship game. It was the first time Catholic had been back since, I think, 2014, and myself included, we were just too satisfied with, oh my goodness, we're playing in the state championship game. I never played in the state championship game in high school, and obviously that was the first one I coached. So I didn't feel like I was myself that game. I felt like I'm very emotional when I coach, and I didn't show enough emotion. And I told myself this year, I'm going to be myself. I don't, I don't care how I'm judged. I don't care how I'm
Tell me a
looked at.
little bit about that emotion. Like, you say you're emotional as a coach, and you didn't show enough during the game. Give me a description of what that looks like, sounds like.
So when I play sports, or when I used to play sports, and now when I coach, I feel like I'm a totally different person. I'm kind of shy off the court and whatnot, but when I get on the court, kind of turn into a different person. And that's why my mom says that all the time. She's like, you are just, that's a totally different person. I don't know exactly where that comes from, but I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm very detailed, and our practices are so tough, and we go over so many things. We don't want to change. We want to play how we practice. We don't want to go in the game and say, okay, we're gonna close out this way. We're gonna make an entry pass this way. We're gonna do this, and then when the game comes, we don't do it. I have to let them know, hey, what are we doing? Like, I have to let them know.
Is that a scream? Is that just...
It can be. It depends who it is. Sometimes guys that play better when I yell at them, sometimes they don't. To get back more into the championship game, I just felt like I was still coaching, but these guys can read you. They know me just as well as I know them. They could see it, and I don't think I just had that passion and energy. Now, this year's game, I felt like I was extremely calm, though, because it's weird. Both games, Chapmanville, we started out the game. We went down 10-0. I told Coach Rashad Kincaid before the game at Bluefield, if we go down 6-0, I'm calling a timeout. I'm not letting it get to 10. And it was fun. We went down 8-0 to start this year versus Bluefield. Our guys responded the right way. I think I was passionate and emotional, but at the same time, I was calm. I didn't get on guys too early for little mistakes, things like that. I don't even know if that answers your question totally. But like, perfect. I'm a different person when I coach, and I know that I need to be myself. And I know everybody in the stands is watching, but it doesn't matter. You just got to be yourself, just like you're in practice.
See, it's interesting to me because I whether player, coach, or whatever, I don't know where I learned the idea, and I'm curious about your thoughts on this, Hollis, too, is like when you shut off everybody, like whether it be the fan base, parents, whomever, like for me, playing football was playing football, and it was, I didn't worry about what a coach was going to say. Everything that would happen to me, coach called me, pull me out or whatever, that's in that moment for just that second, and then I'm right back into the game. So I don't know if I've ever been. For me, I don't know how to even process some of that because I I'm just simply in that moment.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think that is the processing of it. And I know that, for example, I felt that probably more as a coach than a player. Like being a player, you get lost in the game, but also you have that same feeling as a coach. Like, because I know, like, at the times when I coached, I was never a head coach. I was, an assistant position coach. But I would have things going on in my life outside of that, things you got to deal with before the game or practice, things you got to deal with after. But while I'm in the game, it would almost be a relief because I would be so into the game.
There was nothing else.
I'm almost to the fact where you're like lost in the game. You're like lost within this thing, and it's the most beautiful feeling ever. And I knew, and just to put a cap on it, I knew it was time to stop coaching because my mind would start to wonder about other things. I'm starting to hear people in the stands because I can tell you, like, there will be times when I'm coaching, I don't even hear somebody.
Same.
Like I don't even hear what's going on out there. You know what I mean? So it's really a beautiful feeling.
The same thing is true to me. Like, and I'm curious about what you're going to say to this. Like, I was not interested in. I didn't when I was at State. I didn't hear a fan.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anybody say anything. That one year at South Charleston,
heard it all.
I could hear it all. And in my mind, I kept thinking to myself, like, why am I hearing them? Why am I not locked in?
You're not in it.
I'm not locked in to the game itself, to every single detail that's happening in the game. Because if all those details are in your head, I ain't got room for the dude on the fence.
Yeah.
But I also think, too, that there were things happening on our sidelines that drew your attention away also.
Yeah.
Kids going to the fence, talking to parents and talking to kids. And, like, I was aware of that. Yeah. So I felt like that was something that I needed to deal with, which would take me from the game.
I can remember that. I'll just say, and I'll let you respond, Coach. But I can remember vividly, I'm coaching. I was an OC at the middle school, and I'm all into it. And I heard somebody say something, and I snapped on. Like, I snapped. But and it's normal. What I'm saying? That's not even normally how I would talk. But I just, I gave him something real quick and got right back to it.
It's crazy because you do realize that it's not what you would typically do.
Yeah, but I was so into it.
Yes,
like you distracted me.
Get away.
I don't think I was not locked in when we lost. I think I was extremely locked in, but maybe I was too locked in, or maybe I don't really know. I just felt like I didn't coach well that day, and I felt like this year I was. So now, obviously, I couldn't eat much the day of and the whole state tournament. I was super nervous, but I think nervous is. Before the game is a good thing because you care about it. It's natural, right? Yeah. But once the game got going, even during warm-ups, I felt so more comfortable this year. And it's something that you just can't be taught as experience. And we were trying to shy away from the first year when we lost. Oh, we don't have a lot of experience. We were like, well, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I think it does, and it's easier to say now after we've won. Having a little experience can just calm your nerves a little bit.
What if you were to look at a top player and his performance in the first year that you lost and his performance in the year that you won, this year that you won?
Yeah.
Could you see his change in play? And if so, what was that?
All five of them, I could say that for. All five of the starters that came back. I could say that for every single one of those guys. I don't care about their stat line. I don't even remember what their stat line is for when we lost. And to be honest, when we won, I can tell when these guys, I just know them well. And this year, they responded the right way. Down 8 points at halftime, right? And to a really good Bluefield team. No shot clock. It's kind of tough when you get down 8 or 10 points. The other team doesn't have to shoot, whatnot. And all five of them played from a mental standpoint, they were a lot better. And for example, J. Allen Turner, that was kind of our that's our guy this year. He was really good for us and all-time leading scorer at Catholic now. He only shot the ball 3 times in the first half. And this is his last game of his career. We know there's no more tomorrow. We go into halftime. Jay, you got to get more shots. You got to find more shots. He's really efficient guy, but he stepped out of his comfort zone. He forced a little more action. He still got us into our offense. He played great defense. He hit the boards, little things like that. I mean, you have a guy like Max Wilcox that his sophomore year we lost at Ravenswood. He missed some free throws. He hit clutch free throws for us this game. Jeff Reynolds, our vocal leader, he was constantly talking the whole time. And I always tell the guys, when you're talking, when we're like, it's not just me. I tell the guys all the time, it's your team. It's your team. I can come back and do this every year. This is your team. Jeff Reynolds constantly talking. Gio Cinco, you might have a turnover, but it's okay. Keep playing. Zayden Ranson, who's only a sophomore, is a grown man. I mean, the rebounds that he gets, he hit some big shots, some big free throws. I think he actually led us in scoring. And to be honest with you, he's a passer first. I told him before the game, you have to shoot. All 5 of those guys stepped up from the previous year. And that's from just maturity. They've been here before. They know what to do.
And I want to talk about, because we had Coach Pat Jones, Coach at Nitro. Mm-hmm. He won the AAA title this year. And what he talked about a lot was his coaching staff. And I'm starting to see a theme here. You know, he had definitely some OG veteran legend coaches in the area. And you have sort of that same relationship that he has to his assistants, where you guys were friends on and off the court. It's not just a co-worker, quote unquote, relationship. So talk about how important those your coaching staff is in order to get this championship win.
You can't do anything great by yourself. You just can't. You have to have great people around you. And Rashad Kincaid, Devin Harris, like I said, I grew up with them. And then Ricky Nelson, who teaches at the school, he brings a great aspect. He played football at Fairmont, went to Capitol High School, and just brings a good administrative point to us. But I gave a lot of credit, and I tried to give as much credit as I can, because I felt like our halftime adjustments were huge in the championship game, and that came from Rashad and Devin. Rashad was saying, hey, this is what we need to get into, keep the ball off the side, keep it in the middle. He pointed out to the team, we haven't shot one free throw in the first half. We got to get to the free throw line, and the guys did that. Devin made some huge points about matchups. Hey, we need to keep Jalen on R.J. Harrison. It's throwing that off a little bit, his athleticism. Keep Zayden on the shooter. Let Jeff go on Gore. That's all Devin Harris, right? And that's what I mean by, and maybe I should clarify, the head coach gets all the head coach maybe gets too much praise when you win, and maybe takes too much blame when they lose, right? I think it's a team effort. I don't think it's just not about me, and without those guys, this thing doesn't happen, right? If you go to practice every day and they hear the same exact voice all the time, they're gonna get tired of that. They need Shad and Dev to talk to them individually. What we explain it is, I might look at the overall picture 5-on-5. They really get into the detail of, hey, Jay, work on this move. I see you can do this. Even at halftime, I can see Devin out here, hey, you know, go. And those guys were guards. I played more as a big man or forward, so we get a little bit of every position in that. I love coaching with them. It's like us hanging out. This is what we love to do. We love to coach. We love to talk X's and O's, and we get to do it all the time.
It's interesting to me, and I'm curious about what you think to this, because I get passion, I get emotion, and all of those kinds of things. But I'm watching, whether it be middle school, you know, the higher level of youth sports, and you get, there's a couple of our kids that are super talented in our youth basketball all-star program, but any kind of pressure, any kind of throw the ball out of bounds or get a call on them, they're in tears. When does that? Is there an idea of that's just going to naturally stop? Because I don't know that time when I was growing up. Because if you were doing that, you were getting joked, and so you didn't we didn't have that. That's something that I see now. Is that apparent child issue, or is that a child issue, or is that a coach child issue to address?
I think every situation is different, and I think sometimes it could be either one of those or all of those. It just depends for every person. Like talking for myself, I think I didn't know how to channel that emotion when I was younger and pouted too much. But I don't know if it was my mom and dad. I mean, obviously, I think it was mainly them because I'm with them the most, and they're telling me, you got to, X, Y, and Z. But had some good coaches. You have to understand as a player, and maybe it is with age too, right? You're talking about some younger people. Maybe they're not ready for that. But if we're constantly putting it into their brain, maybe they'll learn it a little quicker. Adversity is going to come. How are you going to handle it? You're not going to play a perfect game. No one's ever going to play a perfect game. We didn't play a perfect game last Saturday, and we won a state championship. You're not going to play a perfect game. It is what it is. It's how you respond to mistakes. We only call it a mistake if you don't learn from it. Little stuff like that. So if we can kind of not program, but start teaching them at a younger age, maybe of these little things, that the sports is more than just your skill and your physicality. I mean, it is. That's the eye test, right? LeBron's LeBron because of his body, right? But mentally, LeBron is LeBron because mentally he's at a different level. So we got to start training more on the mental side and not so much dribble through the cone and shoot a step back all the time. Mentally getting these boys and girls tougher will help them in the long run, because guess what? Not all of us are going to play professional sports. Most of us aren't. Most of us aren't even going to play in college. So what's the point of this? The point is to teach them life lessons through the sport. That's what sports are so great about. We're not all going to be champions. We're not all going to get paid to play. So there's a bigger picture to that.
Is there something that we might want to do at the rec center prior to our sports programs with parents and the kids, trying to explain to them, this is just an opportunity. The city of South Charleston is just providing you an opportunity to participate in sports and learn some of these life lessons. And it's not even the competitiveness. Yeah. It's not even about the wins and losses as much as it is about teaching your children a sport or these sports and having fun. Yeah. And because if mom and dad is going crazy from the bleachers and you see, I mean, how the whole thing is going. Somewhere we've got to turn this thing back the other way. Yeah. If we want these kids to get a message, to learn something, we've got to teach the people in the bleachers something first, and maybe even some of the coaches.
See, I think that's a hard sell.
I think it is too.
You gotta focus on the coaches, because I can't coach mom and dad, unfortunately. So I think that if you're going to have that sort of conversation, it has to start with the coaches, and the coaches have to be the one. Like Coach Moses said, like they have to be the one that constantly say that. Because if I'm constantly saying something, it's going to stick eventually. I can't really worry about what the parents are doing or they're not doing. That's just uncontrollable. But I think if you can control the control, which is the coaches.
And I don't know if I'm trying to control them. I'm just thinking that I want to let them know what is the purpose of the sport itself.
It just seems like a fruitless conversation.
It might be.
It all depends if they're going to listen, if they're going to buy in, and that's everyone's opinion. They can listen who they want to. So both of you are correct. It's going to be difficult either way. Does it hurt to try to give them that talk and tell them you're coming from a good space? I think positivity and negativity is contagious. If you're coming off and you're trying to boss people around and tell them, no, do this, do this, do this, naturally sometimes I don't want to listen to this guy. Why should I listen? So if you can show them like, hey, buy into this, good things will happen for your son or daughter, and you'll learn that way. But it's definitely a difficult conversation when the kids are so young. I'm lucky because I talk about I think middle school is one of the hardest age to coach. I think it's hard to adapt to. Kids are in that in-between stage of, am I going to take this serious? Am I not? And I think high school for me is a little bit easier to get through. To be honest with you, and the youth is. You talk about coaches. I mean, a lot of these coaches are just somebody's mom or dad that's hopping in because they don't have somebody. So it is big, but can we do a better job of maybe putting them through? I mean, it's just the time part of it too. But giving them a coach's clinic, giving them a 30-minute, something, a video or a talk about, this professional says this is the best way. There's definitely things we can try to do, but at the end of the day, everyone's going to have to buy in. Yeah. Everybody's going to have to want to get better mentally, tough-wise, not just, okay, well, we're doing this, we're running this play and this play and this play. Do I remember in Biddy Ball or whatnot if we won? Yeah, I do remember we won, but I can't tell you the score. I can't tell you how many points I had. I can't tell you all that stuff.
Because all that's gone.
But I can tell you the times that mom was so mad at me when I got in the car because I acted the wrong way. And I was acting like I was just pouting, basically. I remember the times when coaches would try to talk to me and stuff. I think if we can understand that there is things that these kids are going to remember, but it's not always the score. Yeah, I mean, I still got the trophy somewhere probably. Right. But, I mean, if
it's the lessons.
It's the lessons. Yeah. If winning the third grade championship's the biggest thing you accomplish in life, what are we doing, right? You got to keep working. Yeah. Like I'm just talking to somebody, Coach Amy Mullen, she's the women's soccer coach at Charleston Catholic. Saw her this morning. She just won.
Can you do me a favor? Can you just hold that for a second, and we'll bring you back in as soon as we come off this break. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Follow us on Facebook at Let's Talk Carl Lee. Visit WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk for more.
Sponsorship opportunities are available. Contact Carl Lee at letstalk@promessage.com, Dale Cooper at dcooper@wvradio.com, or call 304-342-8131. Ask Carl a question or comment on current or previous episodes. Visit Let's Talk Carl Lee on Facebook. Like, rate, and subscribe from your podcast service to help more people find Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Now, back to the conversation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it. We just needed a quick break. I didn't want to interrupt Hunter, but Hunter, jump back into I think you were closing out on my thoughts about having a discussion with parents about, what the expectations should be, and you were kind of closing that out. But go ahead.
Yeah, just it's bigger than the game of basketball, and I'm just talking about for basketball because in my sport, whatever sport you're playing, but it's bigger than basketball. And I was talking to Coach Amy Mullen. She's won 5 straight girls state championships at the girls soccer team at Charleston Catholic. And she says, that's a great feeling, isn't it? She says, how do you get back there? And that's exactly what we're thinking about. How do we get back there? How do we get this feeling again? So if all we're worried about is just winning now, winning that third grade or whatever, we got to teach them that there's more. You got to keep working. Win or lose, you have to keep going. So maybe we got to focus more on the mental side, teaching our kids, we got to keep going, win or lose. You're going to have to move on.
Let me ask you this: as far as the structure at Catholic, you have the middle school and the high school all in one building, essentially. So, do you, as the coach of the high school, do you coach the middle school as well, or what's that relationship?
Yeah, they've got separate coaches. Obviously, I try to not get involved, but I try to watch as much as I can. I want to see what we have coming up. This senior class I had now was actually the first class I've had from freshman to senior. So that makes it special for me because I've seen them. I remember watching J. Allen Turner, Jeff Reynolds, Joseph Brammerd, Gio Cinco in middle school and going to their games. And I was sitting next to Marshall Powell and Thomas Blades and Aiden Satterfield and Zion Suddath, and we're like, hey, this guy's going to be good. He's going to do this and this. And so we do those type of things. But I'm not – they have their own coach. I'm not telling them what to run. I'm not telling them how to run their practice, things like that. Some of the kids, like I talked about, middle school's at weird age, they're figuring things out. A lot of the kids that play in middle school don't play in high school, and that's fine. That's not a discredit to me or anything like that. That's not what they want to put their time into because we put a lot of time into this. I mean, it's Monday through Saturday. I mean, we're doing stuff the whole time, and that's just November to March. Out of the season is really when you get the work in. So middle school's got their own role, just like at the Kanawha County schools at the public level.
Gotcha.
What? Give me a little bit about your off-season programs? Like, what do you spend your time on and focus on most? Is it getting bigger, stronger, faster, all of those kind of things? Or is it in part also, the structure of how you want to play the game coming in the season?
So it's kind of changed from last year. We at Catholic, we have a lot of multi-sport athletes. Right. I think I only had on this year's team 2 or 3 guys that only play basketball. Out of 19 players, I think 2 or 3 of them only play basketball.
Do you support that, and would you encourage it?
You saw the bio, right? Of course I support that. I played it in college where no one told me I would be able to do it and keep my grades up and play and actually get playing time. So, I support it 100%. But I think 3 sports is a lot in high school. I think 2 is one thing, but I think 3 is kind of tough. I'll put that out there. But it just depends on the kid and the sport. The summertime, we want to get bigger, faster, stronger. We had weightlifting, and we had, certain guys were coming, certain guys weren't. Sometimes it's because they're in a different season. I don't think I lifted weights enough when I was in high school. I think I could have been a lot, a lot better if I would have lifted more. It's just getting over those first 2 weeks, getting your body real sore and getting into a routine. If you can stay with that routine. So we would lift weights leading up to the season. We used to have that 3-week period, right? Like where you could practice.
Yes.
They just took that away, and now you have 32 flex days, and you use that how you want to. So we would have the 3-week period where we would have freshmen coming in that don't know how we practice. You mentioned, do we work on how we play? We don't really – we say we're working how we practice. We're setting the tone of this is how we practice. Here's our base drills that we're probably going to do a lot. Let's teach them how we close out. Let's teach them, the details, how we rip through, how we do practice. Like I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I want to get them to learn in the 3-week period or our flex days. This is how we practice. Then when practice officially starts, we get into those X's and O's. Here's your secondary break. Here's your, offense and whatnot. Our most important drill is shell drill, 4v4 defense. We take pride in defensive rebounding. So we start showing them, breaking it down a little bit in the summertime, so when official practice starts, we can try to hit that thing running a little bit. Not so much 5-on-5 and whatnot, more skill development. But you go to these shootouts and play too, which can be good, can be bad. I mean, last summer, we didn't have all of our guys. We went to these shootouts. We were good. We were losing every game. We just won a state championship. So I don't think winning and losing those shootouts in the summer really matter, the score. I think it's just for development of your team. And you get to see new guys that maybe you haven't seen play against other people.
That's a good point.
Hollis, if you had to pick 2 sports that I played 3 sports. I ran track, but all of mine were specific basketball, football, and track.
And that kind of runs together good.
Yeah, and I use those all for football.
Yep.
I can tell you right now, whatever sport you playing, run track.
Yeah. Track's going to help you.
I think, to me,
and track is the one sport that is dropping off.
Critical.
The kids are not paying no attention to it.
I think elite athletes are picking it back up. Those athletes who actually have professional dreams, who have Power 5. Like you go through the South, all the skilled football players, even the big guys, they all run track, throw hammer, whatever. To me, if you are a serious soccer player, football player, even a basketball player, to me, I think it is critical and should be mandatory that you run track, because I think it helps with athletic development. Mm-hmm. If you're bigger, like you said, faster, stronger, and track can get you there. We talked about last week. When you look at those 100-meter runners now, when you look at the 400, the 200-meter guys,
they look different.
They don't look – these ain't the slim guys.
No.
These look like running backs. These guys have quads big as your head.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, if I had to pick whatever other sport you're playing, if you're playing a baseball player, run track. If you're a tennis player, run track. I think just track or even cross country, to me, are critical.
The concept of focusing on a sport, and we haven't really dived into that piece of it.
Yeah.
But if I don't know any great athlete any great athlete that's come out of the state of West Virginia, or really anywhere, who specifically focused on one sport.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the guys that went Division I from South Charleston, our coach, you look at Trey Dunn, Bosley, Mondrell, Harris, Conley. You looked at all those guys were 2 and 3 sport athletes, and every single one of them.
So where is who made the first comment of focusing on one sport, and then everybody was thinking, "Oh, my kid's just a basketball player."
I think that probably in the last 20 years, it's one of them things that got brought up, but I think that's slowly dying. I think people are realizing that.
You think it's dying?
Oh yeah, I think it is. I think you're realizing now, because I think what happened was, I think you had this big emergence of these trainers, and I'll say quote unquote trainers, who it was to their benefit to say, hey, only focus on this. And then instead of playing that other sport, you could just train with me all year. But I think what people are realizing is that, for example, if I'm a basketball player, that is the ultimate football, basketball. These are team sports, team games. And I think that, you need to have something else besides that, like a track, even a swimming, or even a baseball, where you have that single, like, it's just me. Like, so that way, I think not only can you develop athletically, but you also develop a mentality like you have to take care of your business. Because when you're running that 100 meter, you've been there before, 200 meter. Hey, bro, ain't no tagging. Ain't nobody else gonna come and save you.
No.
If you get dusted, it's just you, and everybody seeing you huffing and puffing last place.
And I don't know. And see, to me, I think track is the hardest. I think the reason why track is numbers are down, because I don't want 100 to outrun me. And then I got, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I don't want
scared
anybody
to lose, scared to compete.
I don't want anybody to see that.
To me, it's the ultimate track. To me, is the ultimate competition, because it's a lot. Most of those sports, even if you take the relays, for your portion on that relay, it's just you, bro.
It's just you. Yeah.
Ain't nobody else coming to save you.
And I ran track my senior year because again,
in college.
Yeah. And you couldn't do it in football in college because you had spring ball. And so once I got to be senior, before I was the whole draft and all that kind of stuff, I jumped into track. And I'm running 100 to 200, and coach got me into the 4x4, and I was like, man, I'm not interested in I'm not in this for this. That doesn't apply to me. I'm just trying to be fast, right? And here's the crazy thing: I wasn't winning the 100, I wasn't winning the 200. So his thoughts were get better at the 400. Well, my whole football training and my off-season training down in state was all 400.
So that's who we blame for that.
Yeah.
That's who we blame, whoever that track coach was, for them 400.
Yes.
Lord Jesus.
That was all. I mean, your test coming in the state
Lord God.
was four 400s, 4 200s, and 4 100s.
Lord, bro.
With, minute and a half in between.
Yeah.
And look, I'm telling you, some of the best athletes ever. And I hate to put V out there like that, but Barry Cunningham, So if you listen to Brace, all respect, but we had him bent over, like he fell over into the inside of the track, like he was dying.
Yo, I've seen dudes like just sleep. Like after we get they sleep on the field.
That preseason different.
Yeah, throw it up. I've seen it all out there.
Yeah, and I don't know if we understand that type of commitment that players make and want to make. Because if you can make the case, how many kids, let's assume that you're V, okay, and you're stretched out or balled up into a little ball inside of the track, sick as a dog, why don't you quit?
Yeah.
I'm going to make the case that today that child or that child's parent is thinking, oh, he's crazy. We ain't doing this. We going somewhere. Today? I
think, and Coach can answer this, I think if you have a commitment to winning, if you have a program, a coach that you respect, and somebody who you feel could take you to that level, I think you can get that out. I think you've probably gotten more out of kids than maybe what you thought.
No, definitely. We've had some guys that definitely work really hard. And I just think there's levels to all of it, right? You're going to play in college is different than, you doing that at middle school. It depends how much you want it. That's real how it is. Because I remember going up to Tech, you had to make the 2-mile time. We had a 2-mile time for soccer.
You had a 2-mile time?
2-mile time.
Lord, Jesus.
Field players, I played goalie, thankfully, because field players had to make it in 13 minutes.
You had 2 miles in 13 minutes?
Goalies had to make it in 14:30.
Oh my God!
I made the time.
I'm trying to get 3 miles in 30 minutes.
Hey, I made the time the first time, but I was like V over there. I got 2 of my friends, Tyler Fabian, Craig Mitchell. They say to this day, my first memory is looking over at Hunter Moles and this pale little redheaded kid, and they said we thought he was going to die.
You had to make 2 miles in 14 minutes.
I moved in.
That's
I
crazy.
moved in that day, and they were like, "Yeah, we got the 2 mile later." I said, "Today? We just moved in. We got to do it today." 5:30 up at the field. So it depends. How much do you want it?
And I don't know if and whether we call it old school, new school, and I'm just gonna separate it by saying that's old school. I don't know if new school understands that kind of commitment.
I think it's levels. I don't know if maybe
levels.
I think maybe there was a different, maybe earlier, later. I think it's levels. I think depending on who you are. Now again, maybe as a masses, no, but it's levels too.
No, because I got guys right now that they might not go play in college, and they probably are getting. They might know that, but I got some guys that work, man. They're workers. They work. So it's not everybody, but there is levels to it.
Let me ask you, being a 2-sport athlete at the collegiate level, what was your mentality far as going from soccer, which is rigorous, it's constant running, it's constant moving and motion, and I would say probably goalie is maybe one of the most mentally agonizing positions to play in sports.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because really, again, it's one of them things where it's kind of all on you. I mean, I'm sure there's some team stuff involved. Yeah. But going from that to hooping, what was the mentality that you had?
So before I get into that, you bring up a really good point, and maybe that's where some of my coaching philosophy comes from, to your very original question, is being a goalie. I grew up being a goalie. Goalkeeper training is so hard one-on-one.
Yeah.
Dive and get up. I mean, you're doing that for 60 minutes. You're doing all that just to be ready to make one save in a game. You're either the hero, you made the save, or you got scored on, and it's your fault. You lost the game because you let a goal in. So maybe that's where my mentality comes from, too, is being a goalie basically my whole life. That one time when we was little, I guess they said, "Hey, who wants to play goalie?" And I was like, "Hey, I'll do it." And I just jumped in there. And ever since, I was doing it. But to your college question, I had coaches that were letting me do this. And I'm going to say this. We got coaches right now. You say it's trainers. It's also coaches that want their guys and girls to only play one sport.
That's a good point.
They only want to play one sport. Yes. Jay Allen Turner comes to me before in the summer, says, "Coach, I'm thinking about playing soccer this year." He hadn't played all high school, but he grew up playing soccer through middle school. Hadn't played. Senior year, wants to go play soccer. Jay, I don't think it's the best decision because it's going to take time away from you getting in the gym. But if you are passionate about it, go do it. Go win a state chip. They lost in the final in PKs. He was a starting forward, right? I'm going to encourage him because that's what he wants to do. It's bigger than basketball. He's playing with his lifelong friends.
That was my point.
And it's bigger than that. So when I had coaches that were bought in, that when I went to school for preseason soccer, I might, if I had a day, I'd go watch basketball practice. Coach Williams didn't make me practice. He didn't say, you have to go do this. Now, if I could shoot some, I would try. But my body would be so banged up during the season, and we're traveling all the time and classes. It was tough.
Yeah.
So, let's say our season finished on Saturday. Hey, Coach, give me Sunday off. I'll be there Monday. He said take as much time as you need. But me, I'm right back into it. Also, I adjusted well because – my basketball game is team-oriented, and I'm not no big-time volume shooter, scorer. I'm a rebounder. I'm going to take charges. I'm going to dive for loose balls.
Right.
I'm going to play hard. I'm going to pick up the plays the first time you show it to me so it's easy to adjust. Yeah. And I probably already know them because I came and watched some in practice. So I'm fine with defending. I don't care about scoring. I'll take a layup once you hit me off of a drive or whatnot. So I wasn't the main guy on the basketball court either. So that's a little different from being a 20-point scorer or, you're playing a little bit bigger role. Not saying my role wasn't big. It's just it's different. I could just come in and physically just work my butt off for coach. And I think the guys – I didn't go through preseason with basketball. Some of them had to feel a certain type of way. Hey, why does this guy get to come in? And he didn't go through all this running with us. I think when you run with each other, you naturally get closer.
Yeah,
like when you go through those workouts and then you go to the calf afterwards 100%. And you sit there and like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe we just had to do that. But I had to come into basketball out of soccer and show these guys, hey, I'm here to work. So I just had to really work hard. And I didn't care about starting. I didn't think I was going to start. They've already played like 3 or 4 games basketball before I even came back to the team from soccer. I don't care about starting. I just want to win. That's all. I just want to win. And so hopefully that answers your question.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's
and
mentality.
And I think too. I think one of the hard things to do for kids now coming through the system is understanding that there is a time that you might not be the best player, and quitting is not the option.
Yep.
Sit on that bench. Practice and get better so that at some point you're going to be able to be, let's say, a starter in 2 different sports.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't see, my problem is I don't know if we have the patience. Like I'm not coming to play quarterback at State because Hollis is there.
Now I got to sit for a year.
Yeah, I got to sit for 2 years.
I agree with you on that point.
I think I think that we feel we need that instant gratification to secure our own idea of how good we are.
And can I say this, Carl? Rashad Kincaid was a 4-year basketball starter at West Virginia Tech. I also played with Rashad in college. They brought in a different point guard every summer. You got to earn your spot every year when it comes to college. It's not like, oh, well, I'm the guy now. No, we're bringing in another guy in the summer, and you got to win your job again.
And see, and I think we're teaching the young kids totally the opposite type of thing, that the success that you want them ultimately to have in college, get a college scholarship, it doesn't line itself up. What you're teaching them, how you're acting, how you're teaching them does not line up with college. Because, man, you can go to college and you can sit 2 years.
Yep.
I mean, and let's just assume that you go to Alabama back in the Nick Saban era, you could sit for 2 years behind an All-American who's going to be a first-round draft pick. You mad? You going to leave?
Yeah.
Because at some point you're going to be that guy and somebody else is going to be sitting behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just don't I don't understand, and I don't know if I could express it in a way to say playing isn't everything. Sometimes learning, sitting and watching is everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, I watched Robert Alexander train. He talked to me about how he would do it, how he would feel. I wanted to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, I'm going to start training that way. And I want to feel that pain that he's feeling. I don't think we want that now.
Yeah.
Like, I think we want our individual opportunities. I want to start in youth football. I'm going to go to middle school, and I'm going to start in middle school. And I'm going to go to high school. I'm going to start in high school all 4 years. I'm going to get a D1 scholarship, and I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to start. Yeah. If all that is true and you get to college, you're going to be shocked when you get to college. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you're going to have no idea. Because they're not bringing you in as a freshman to be a player. Rarely, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, rarely is, especially in the D1, rarely are you being brought in, given a scholarship to become a starter as a freshman.
No, I got very, very lucky when I went to West Virginia Tech for soccer that the goalie beforehand was a senior, but like all their goalies were seniors. So I come into a fresh class where we have, really we had 3 goalies, but 2 fighting for that starting spot as freshmen. That doesn't happen a lot. You get what I'm saying? Right. So we don't have when you're going in as a freshman, like I was trying to tell Aiden Satterfield this all the time, like, hey, man, you might go in redshirt. There's nothing wrong with that.
Facts.
And there is nothing wrong with that. I also think Jalen Turner was a freshman when he had Aiden Satterfield and Zion Sutter that were seniors. That helped him learn how to do these things. Like you're saying, you had someone to look up to. Like I said in the beginning, you have to surround yourself with great people. You can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, and to that point, like I said, you mentioned Satterfield, you mentioned Zion. Those were some of the best players in the Valley during their era. And you probably had maybe, if not the best player, maybe one of the best players in the Valley and the state for that matter in Turner. Just talk about him a little bit before we go as far as where you see him projecting and going in the future.
For Jay Allen?
Yeah.
I mean, he's special, man. He really is. Yeah. He's really special. He's such a good human being off the court. And that's what I love about him the most. He's so humble. Like you're giving him all these credit, and you can go and we have a whole show just listing all of his accomplishments. But he's so humble. He's a good person. Like when we do stuff with the kids, he's good at that stuff. His college decision's still up in the air. Yeah. It's wide open, to be dead honest with you. And I'm very, very biased, and I just don't understand why he's not getting a little more looks. I'm educated enough that know the transfer portal plays a big role.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
People are in win now. And I know a college coach, that's their income for their family. They got to win. So if they might not have time to take a chance, time to develop somebody. I was telling you before the show, Jay Allen's young for his class. So can you imagine if he was a junior this year? Yeah. Can you imagine if he gets into a good program, red shirts, develops, learns the way they practice, works on his body? I mean, you have to, as a player, though, know I go from the top spotlight. I go from winning the state championship. He's going to get all these awards. Now you got to go back to the bottom.
Yeah,
and you got to work your way in 2 or 3 years. And I think Mr. Satterfield's seeing that now a little bit. He had to work. Yeah. Now he's getting back into the news articles. Yeah. Now he's getting back into the big shots.
It's up at Walsh University.
So he had a good end of his year this year. But Aiden will tell you, it was hard the first couple years coming off from being that captain, first team All-State. Like you're playing a lot of different people, and naturally it takes a little time. So he's going to have to buy into that if that's his role. But a lot of Division IIs, lots of looks, lots of offers, but still wide open.
And what I like about Turner is, like I said, and I told you this before the show, Coach, he can play in the post. He can play on the wing. He finishes well around the rim. And he also is a defensive guy, defensive-minded player. So I'm biased. So I would love to see him in that black and gold, And I think we can really build around him in the future, and I think he could help us go far. So
no doubt,
just putting that out there.
I was going to say, I don't think you're hinting on that. Yeah. That's very clear, I think. Yeah. Hunter, I appreciate it, man. I hope we can get you back here, and good luck going into the season. When do you guys start your training, your off-season training?
Well, we got to figure out, because it's different now without the 3-week. So without the 3-week period, we want to figure out how we want to use our flex days. Trying to do some shootouts, trying to do right after baseball gets done. So June starts, we'll try to do some shootouts. And then as soon as school gets back started, we're, lifting, running, and flex days every Friday. So really, as soon as school starts, we start to get after it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your time. We're getting ready to get out of here, so we will get back with you again soon.
The opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of WVRC Media, its management, employees, or sponsors. Follow us on Facebook at Let's Talk Carl Lee. Visit WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk for more.